This is lecture number 4 for Unit 4B. Many people distinguish between two distinct periods of the Middle Ages. The period of time from 500 to 1000 CE is often called the Dark Ages because of some of the chaos that existed during this time and the general lack of centralized power or rule. The period of time from 1000 to 1450 CE is often referred to as the High Middle Ages because of the advances and changing map of Europe, as well as the emergence of very powerful kings. Well, by the High Middle Ages, there were many problems plaguing the church. These included, 1, many village priests were not following church protocol, and they were married with children. Secondly, many priests and bishops were corrupt and were engaging in a practice called simony. Yep, more on that later. Third, kings continued to practice lay investiture, that practice of kings naming church authorities or officials, and many reformers within the church wanted to see these problems remedied or fixed. The church adopted many reforms during this time. One of those reforms was reorganizing the church so that the Pope had more power. The church began to resemble a large corporation with the Pope as the CEO or head. The Pope's trusted advisors were part of a group called the Curia, and they helped to establish official canon law. They even developed their own court system to enforce canon law. The church also reorganized its tax system and had officials who collected taxes from cities. The church also reorganized its tax system and had officials who collected taxes from villages. The church also established religious orders designed to spread Christianity through missionary-type work. These groups included the Dominican Order of Priests, named after a famous Spanish priest, as well as the Franciscan Order of Friars. Friars were missionary-type priests. For females, the Poor Clares was set up to provide care for the old and sick. The church also invested in building massive cathedrals in larger cities in Europe. We're going to see a major change in architecture during the High Middle Ages. Churches during the Dark Ages had been built in the Romanesque style. A new style of architecture emerged around 1200 to 1400. It was called Gothic architecture. The term Gothic comes from a Germanic tribe called the Goths. The Gothic style is characterized by pointed Gothic arches, ribbed vaults, flying buttresses to support the high ceilings, pointy arches, and really tall spires. These tall buildings had larger windows than Romanesque-style churches, which had tiny windows. The new cathedrals had large stained glass windows installed, which depicted scenes from the Bible. These biblical scenes were mesmerizing for the illiterate population of Europe at the time and helped to educate them with scenes from the Bible. Famous Gothic architecture is seen even today in Notre Dame de Paris and other cathedrals located in Chartres, Retz, Amiens, and Beauvais. Villages across Europe competed with each other in an attempt to build the tallest and most inspiring cathedrals. Over 500 cathedrals were built between 1170 and 1270 CE. The High Middle Ages are also characterized by the Crusades. These were wars of conquests by Christian armies to regain the territories in the Holy Land from under Muslim control. They began by an appeal to the West by the Byzantine Empire, which was threatened by Muslim Turks. Pope Urban II called on all faithful church members to help defend Constantinople and the Eastern Church in 1093. Pope Urban's call for help is often referred to as a holy war or crusade. The Crusades now refer to the 300-year period of warfare between European Christians and Muslim Turks, and it was all in an attempt to regain control of the Holy Land in the Middle East. This was a religious series of wars, yes, but it was also a grab for territory that would be profitable to the West under church control, so there was that as well. The Crusades happened in waves over a 300-year period. The First Crusade was successful for Christians who managed to claim Jerusalem in 1099 CE. However, Muslim leaders fought back and almost immediately took back the city. Christians launched the Second Crusade to take back the city for Christians. By 1187, they were unsuccessful due to the leadership of Saladin. Saladin's troops continued to thwart European attempts to retake the city, including those during the Third Crusade, led by Richard the Lionhearted of England. We will talk more about Richard next unit. Richard and Saladin signed a truce in 1192, which allowed for Muslim control of Jerusalem, but allowed for Christians to have free access to holy sites within the Holy Land. There was a Fourth Crusade in 1204, but it failed, and returning knights looted the city of Constantinople during a pit stop on their way home to Western Europe. 4 more crusades followed, which were unsuccessful. There was even a series of children's crusades beginning in 1212, where little kids set out for Jerusalem, but most of them died en route or were enslaved. In Spain, Spanish Christians attempted to drive out Muslims from the Iberian Peninsula, which is where Spain is, people. This drive to rid Spain of Muslims became known as the Reconquista, or reconquering. Muslims were finally expelled from Spain during the reign of Queen Isabella and King Ferdinand in 1492. Both Isabella and Ferdinand, devout Catholics, used a Catholic court system called the Inquisition to drive all non-Catholics from their territory. They expelled Muslims and Jews from Spain. Those who refused to leave were put on trial and often executed via being burned at the stake. Thousands of Jews and Muslims were forced to convert to Christianity under the threat of death. The effects of the Crusades are profound. Although ultimately unsuccessful for Christians, they resulted in contact between Islamic and Christian societies, resulting in cultural diffusion. Many crusaders returned home with a broader worldview and a desire for new goods and other products. New goods like spices, cloth, foods that were introduced to Europeans were very appealing. Additionally, many people believe that the Crusades helped to usher in a period of new learning in Europe. Exposure to the fruits of the golden ages of Islam and the complex societies they developed inspired generations of Western Europeans to live differently. Another result of the Crusades, power of the Church decreased dramatically and the Byzantine Empire weakened. Thanks for listening. Bye.